And they keep trying to make him out to be somebody else, but he is who he is. He's a Sanders.
The Browns did lose on Sunday. Shedeur is slated to get his first NFL start this Sunday if Dillon Gabriel can't clear concussion protocol. Coach Prime said he wasn't sure if he'd be at Sunday's game.
Deion Sanders couldn't help but cry after Shedeur Sanders got his first taste of NFL action on Sunday. The fifth-round pick made his debut against the Baltimore Ravens during the second half of the game following a concussion from Dillon Gabriel. Coach Prime broke down the emotional moment to a kids clinic he was hosting on Sunday. He would go on to say that Deion Jr. called him, but he was too emotional to talk. He said, quote, "I was in tears and he called me screaming. And then he said, 'Man, I'm crying right now. Leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone.'" Sanders played a less than spectacular game, and he would be the first to admit that after posting only 4 completions and an interception.
They keep trying to make him out to be somebody else, but he is who he is. He's a Sanders. Look, I know what you're thinking. Another clickbait story about Deion and Shedeur, right? So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. This isn't just another Sunday. And deep down, you know that. I know what the first reaction is. You see the headline, you hear the whispers, and you roll your eyes. Another exaggerated NFL rumor. Another clickbait story trying to squeeze drama out of nothing. We've all been burned before. We've all watched these stories flare up and disappear just as fast. So the skepticism is fair. I get it. I'm right there with you. But this one feels different because timing matters in this league. And right now the timing is loud. It's uncomfortable. It's impossible to ignore. This isn't just about a rookie getting a start. This isn't just about a struggling team trying to survive another lost season. This isn't just about a famous last name. There are too many things colliding at once. Too many pressure points lining up at the same exact moment. And when that happens in the NFL, something usually breaks. Look at the scene. You've got a franchise that's spiraling, a fan base that's exhausted, a locker room that feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for anything to change. You've got a rookie quarterback getting thrown into chaos, not eased in, not protected, but dropped right into the fire when the season is already tilting off the rails. That's not how teams draw it up. That's not how they plan it. That's what happens when control is slipping. And hovering over all of it, whether people want to admit it or not, is a legendary figure watching from afar, a father who knows exactly how cruel this league can be, a coach who understands pressure, politics, and narratives better than almost anyone alive. You don't think he's paying attention? You don't think he feels the weight of this moment? This isn't normal. We've seen rookie starts before. We've seen desperation before. We've seen dysfunctional franchises scramble before. But rarely do all of these things crash together at the same time. This isn't coincidence. This isn't just noise. This is what it looks like when a situation reaches a breaking point. And here's the part that should make you lean in a little closer. Teams don't just stumble into moments like this. They arrive here after months, sometimes years, of missteps, pressure, and quiet panic behind closed doors. The public sees the start, the injury, the headline. But behind the scenes, decisions are already being weighed, futures are already being discussed, contingency plans are already forming. I've watched this league long enough to know when something feels staged by circumstance rather than planned by design. And those moments, those are the dangerous ones. Those are the moments where careers pivot and franchises make moves that sound insane until they don't. So yeah, you can laugh it off. You can say it's just another rumor, another story that'll die by next week. But ask yourself this, what if this isn't random? What if this isn't desperation? What if this is the table being set? Because sometimes in the NFL, the biggest moves don't start with an announcement, they start with a moment. And this moment feels way bigger than just a start. Cleveland is tired. And if you're a Browns fan, you don't even need me to explain that. You feel it in your bones. This is what breaking points look like in the NFL. Not explosions, not press releases, just exhaustion. Season after season of convincing yourself this time is different, only to watch it fall apart the moment hope shows up. We've watched this franchise chase answers for decades, especially at quarterback, and somehow it always ends the same way. A new name, a new plan, the same disappointment. They tried safe. They tried smart. They tried patient. They drafted guys they swore were the future. They brought in veterans who were supposed to stabilize everything. They hired offensive-minded coaches, defensive-minded coaches, culture guys, analytics guys, every version, every philosophy. And every time, right when it feels like they might have figured it out, the floor drops out. That's what people on the outside don't fully understand. This isn't just about losing games. It's about emotional whiplash. One week you're talking yourself into playoff math. The next week you're staring at another lost season, wondering how it slipped away so fast. Again. And you can see it now, you can feel it. The stands don't sound the same. The patience is gone. The tolerance is gone. The front office won't say it publicly, but this is what urgency looks like. This is what desperation looks like when it's wearing a professional smile. That's why this moment matters so much. Because sitting quietly inside that building right now is an unexpected variable. Not a savior, not a solution, but a wild card. Shedeur Sanders isn't supposed to be part of some big picture reset yet. He wasn't supposed to be thrown into the conversation like this, but chaos has a way of accelerating timelines, and Cleveland is drowning in chaos. From the outside, the media keeps framing this like business as usual. Another rookie start, another injury shuffle, another week in the NFL machine. But fans see something else. Fans see panic. Fans see a team searching for oxygen. Fans see an organization that knows it's running out of road. And here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud franchises don't make bold moves when they're comfortable. They don't gamble when everything's under control. They don't blow up blueprints when the plan is working. They do it when time is the enemy. Cleveland has reached that stage where conventional thinking feels pointless, where doing the same responsible, measured thing again sounds worse than swinging for something outrageous. Because at least outrageous comes with hope. At least it comes with belief. At least it gives people something to grab onto. That's why the idea of a spark matters more than the idea of safety right now. And that's why this quarterback situation, messy as it is, suddenly feels like more than just another depth chart shuffle. Teams only make wild moves when they're out of time. And Cleveland? Cleveland is watching the clock bleed out whether they admit it or not. From the moment his name entered the conversation, the noise got louder than the football. You already know the takes. You've heard them 1,000 times. Nepotism. Overhyped. Product of his dad. Not built for this level. Not tough enough. Not ready. And honestly, that's what gets exhausting about this whole thing. It's the same recycled criticism, repackaged by different voices, acting like it's some brand new insight. Because none of this is new to him. He's heard it before. He's lived with it. This isn't new to him. From day one, the target was already on his back. Not because of anything he did wrong, but because of who he is and who he's connected to. The last name opens doors? Sure, but it also slams 10 more shut. Every mistake gets magnified. Every incompletion becomes a referendum. Every hit he takes turns into a question about whether he belongs. And let's talk about toughness for a second, because that's the laziest critique of them all. This is a quarterback who's played under relentless pressure, both physically and mentally. He's taken shots behind shaky protection. He stood in collapsing pockets knowing the hit was coming and delivered the throw anyway. He's done it while cameras followed every move, while analysts waited for the slip-up, while social media circled like sharks. That kind of pressure doesn't break you by accident. It either crushes you early or hardens you over time. And what people don't want to admit is that scrutiny can be a form of preparation. When you're judged every single snap, when your credibility is constantly questioned, you don't get the luxury of easing into anything. You either develop thick skin or you're gone. He's heard it before. He's lived with it. This isn't new to him. The media loves to frame this like a character flaw, like confidence is arrogance and poise is softness. But we've seen this movie before. We saw it with quarterbacks who didn't look the part. We saw it with guys who were labeled system players, or distractions, or not serious enough. Until one day, the excuses ran out and the performance did the talking. What frustrates fans isn't criticism, it's selective criticism. It's how some players get years of patience while others get weeks. It's how certain mistakes are called learning experiences, while others are called proof they'll never make it. And that's where the system comes into this. Because at some point we have to stop pretending this is all about the player and start asking whether the environment even gives him a fair shot. Development doesn't happen in a vacuum. Confidence doesn't grow without trust. Quarterbacks don't thrive when the margin for error is zero. This isn't about shielding him from criticism. It's about recognizing when a narrative has less to do with football and more to do with comfort. And until there's alignment, real belief from the top down, the noise will keep getting louder. The question isn't whether he can handle the pressure. It's whether the system around him is built to stop adding to it. Here's the part nobody wants to admit out loud: this idea is tempting for a reason. Once you get past the shock, once you stop laughing it off as reckless or unrealistic, you start to see why it pulls at people. Not just fans, the team, the coach, the player. Because for the first time in a long time, this isn't about plugging holes. It's about alignment. And alignment is everything in the NFL. Think about how many quarterbacks fail not because they lack talent, but because nothing around them makes sense. New coordinators every year, different terminology, different expectations, different voices in their ear pulling them in opposite directions. That's not development, that's survival. And most don't survive it. What makes the situation different is clarity, philosophy, culture, development, trust. Those aren't buzzwords here. Those are the missing pieces. A shared vision from the top down. One voice instead of five. One direction instead of constant course correction. No politics about who should start. No quiet power struggles. No mixed messaging where a quarterback hears one thing in meetings and feels another on Sundays. People scream favoritism when they see a father and son, but what they're really afraid of is certainty. Because certainty exposes everything. If it works, you can't downplay it. And if it fails, there's nowhere to hide. But here's the truth. Clarity isn't favoritism. It's structure. When a quarterback knows exactly what's expected of him, when the offense is designed around his strengths instead of forcing him into a generic template, when mistakes are coached instead of punished, that's when growth actually happens. That's when confidence turns into command. And for a franchise like Cleveland, that's intoxicating. Because they've spent years chasing stability, safe hires, reasonable decisions, incremental improvement. And where has that gotten them? Stuck. Floating. Never terrible enough to reset properly. Never good enough to believe in fully. This would be different. This would be a declaration of identity. A choice to stop pretending and start committing. To say, this is who we are, this is how we're building, and we're standing on it good or bad. And that kind of belief, fans feel it immediately. Locker rooms feel it. You don't need promises of championships, you just need something real to rally around, something honest. No one's saying it's guaranteed, no one's saying it's safe, but belief has been missing here for a long time. Real belief. The kind that makes Sundays feel alive again instead of anxious. Sometimes franchises don't fail because they choose wrong. They fail because they never choose at all. And sometimes the most dangerous move isn't taking a risk. It's finally believing in something fully and daring the rest of the league to watch what happens next. Everything comes back to this Sunday. All the noise, all the speculation, all the frustration and hope and disbelief, it all funnels into one game. One opportunity. One moment where the talking stops and the football finally decides what's real and what isn't. That's how this league works. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It doesn't care about comfort. It hands you a moment and asks a simple question: what are you going to do with it? Pressure doesn't always break people. Sometimes it reveals them. And this is that kind of pressure, because one performance changes perception. One performance changes plans. One performance changes futures. We've seen it before. We've watched quarterbacks step into chaos and come out with control. we've watched narratives flip overnight. One Sunday, you're a question mark. The next Sunday, you're the conversation. Not because everything was perfect, but because you showed something real when it mattered. This isn't about lighting up the stat sheet. It's about command, poise, responding when things go wrong, standing back up after the first mistake instead of shrinking from it. The NFL notices that, coaches notice that, locker rooms notice that. And if it clicks, even just a little, everything shifts. Suddenly, the conversation isn't about surviving the season. It's about building. Suddenly, the front office isn't just looking at contingency plans, they're imagining alignment. Suddenly, belief starts creeping back into a place that's been starving for it. But here's the honest part, it cuts both ways. If the moment overwhelms him, the doubts get louder, the patience gets thinner, the noise becomes unbearable. That's the risk, that's the weight of this opportunity. And pretending otherwise would be disrespectful to how hard this league really is. Still, I lean toward belief, not blind optimism, not fantasy. Belief earned through preparation, through resilience, through everything we've watched him carry long before this moment arrived. You don't survive constant scrutiny without developing something inside you. You don't grow up under that microscope without learning how to breathe when the lights get hot. That's why this game matters more than the scoreboard. What would belief look like if it worked? What if this actually clicks? What if this is the turning point everyone looks back on and says, that's when it started? The NFL is built on moments like this. Not seasons, not plans, moments. A throw, a drive, a response to adversity that tells the truth louder than any headline ever could. So wherever you stand on this skeptical, hopeful, exhausted, curious, lock in. Because this isn't just another game. It's a crossroads. And sometimes you don't realize you're watching history until it's already unfolding right in front of you.